Women are the class enemy of men, and we have further proof of it here. These two fascists are going to bash and lie about Gen Z men. And I'm not exaggerating or being tongue-in-cheek when I use the term fascist. Feminism is a far-right, authoritarian hate movement, and these two are a part of it. They are members of it. So when I call them fascist, I'm simply being accurate. And all you guys who cope, I want to take a good look at these two beautiful women. There's no dyed hair, there's no tattoos, there's no piercings. These women have male partners. They got the world by the balls. They are members of the most privileged cast of people in the history of the human race. And what do they do with their privilege? Do they feed the poor or help the homeless? No. They bash on men and lie about them. This is what these two have to offer society. They're worse than useless. They're harmful. Well, let's get into the lies.
I think we're making too much of it. This Gen Z males are twice as likely as baby boomers to believe wives should obey their husbands.
Now, of course, this is from the Feminist Guardian rag, so we know that they're lying, right? Feminists always lie. If these women were forced to tell the truth about men, they would wince in pain. They're anti-truth.
This was like a global study. 29 countries were surveyed, included Great Britain, the US, Brazil, Australia, and India.
Now, notice they're trying to make this a worldwide problem. But why are they including India? Because India is more traditionalist than the rest of the world, especially the Western world. And they have the most people now. They have more people than China. So they're going to use India to skew the results. You have to understand what these liars are about, how they go about their business.
I think they do this every year, Ipsos and the Global Institute for Women's Leadership at King's College in London.
Yeah. England is a feminist hellhole. And notice they do it every year. This, again, is what they have to offer. Now, I want you to look at this article they're showing, right? International Women's Day. Women don't have any issues. Because if they did, they would tackle them. That's what they would focus on. But since they don't have any issues, that's why they go after men. This is an exercise in sadism and domination over men. Now, before we get into it, I want to show you guys it's Gen Z women who are the problem, not Gen Z men, right?
The beach with friends that saw a 14-year-old attacked by a gang of girls she barely knew. Her screams chilling as she's kicked, punched and stomped on. The violence was shared on social media, and now there are calls for those who stood by, laughing and encouraging the assault, to also be charged.
Hear that? This isn't Gen Z men attacking people randomly. It's Gen Z girls, Gen Z women. They're exercising sadism by attacking other young girls. And they're laughing about it and putting on social media. I want you guys to remember this, because these two feminists here, these two fascists, I should call them, they're going to hint that, men should not be allowed to have access to the internet. Yet, who's using the internet to do harm?
This isn't a girl fight. This is a gang fight. This is a gang of girls assaulting one person.
Notice it's all blurred out. Why it's blurred out? It's not because they're committing violence. They don't want you to know the identity of the attackers because they're female.
I thought it was disgusting. I was scared.
Because you don't know if they're going to turn on you?
In broad daylight and under moonlight, it's as confronting as it is violent.
I watched only a second of it and that was enough for me.
How tough was it watching this video?
It's going to make me cry now. But I want you to see it so you know where I'm coming from.
Ashley Donoghue is angry and frustrated. She's become an advocate for change after a 14-year-old girl close to her was viciously attacked. The alleged assault filmed and shared to humiliate her.
Do you hear that? Where are you two fascists? Are you going to do something about it? Are you going to advocate for positive change? Are you going to do something about these female gangs that are running rampant in England? No, because you're fine with what they're doing. They're female. They want to beat someone up. That's their business to you. It's the males who want to tramp down on. Now, what I'm also going to show you guys, how it's switched. Again, this is about generations, right? We'll see which generation today is being harmful.
Maroubra was once known as the home of the Bra Boys, an infamous group of surfers in the 90s who were at times linked to violent gang fights. Now it's girl gangs taking over the streets.
There you go. In the 1990s, Gen Z guys, whose generation was that? It wasn't yours. You guys weren't young guys in the 90s, were you? Right? And notice, you can see all these young guys' faces. They can be identified. They're older men now, but people can go up to those guys and say, hey, you were that scumbag who committed violence. But you know, they keep the girls blurred, don't they? They keep the blur. They don't want you like identifying them. Anyway, let's continue about your bullshit article, right? And also, what's their issue? Guys are talking on the internet. Our issues is that young women are attacking people in the streets, right?
And it seems like a third of Gen Zers, which I had to do the math because I was like, wait, what are we talking about? It's like 13 years old to 30 to 29. So
No, two lies right here. First of all, it's not a third. And you'll see what I mean. I'm going to prove it isn't. Secondly, it's not 18 to 30 or 29 because it says so. It says so. Look at this. It's very tiny, but it says 23,000 online adults, and it says 18 to 74 in Canada, 20 to 74 in Thailand, 21 to 74 in Indonesia. Hey, Gen Z guys, are you 70? Are you 50 years old? No. So they're including all generations in here. Do you see what I'm talking about? And also, here's another thing. Now, Shield for Men covered this and pointed me in the right direction. He's showing this page, right? Where is it here? A wife should always obey her husband was actually only 20% of the entire group. And only 31% of that Gen Z, that group was Gen Z. So it's 31% of 20%. So it's actually only about 6% of Gen Z men. And these Gen Z men are in a group that also includes traditionalist countries like India. Why? Because these women, they're going to have a hard time bashing Western men when they're so whipped, when they're really very feminist. They've got to demonize men, so they've got to lie about it. Do you see how your liars, Bitchuation Room and Emma, right?
You just missed the Gen Z window, Emma.
I did. I mean, I dang. Yeah, I'm on.
Now, why did she mention that? You just missed the Gen Z window. I'll tell you why. They're targeting you guys, you Gen Z guys, because this woman has a man and she wants to look at him and say, when I'm bashing men, I don't mean you, dear. You're one of the good ones. You know your place. You know you're beneath me. You do as I say. It's these Gen Z guys who don't know their place. They're the bad guys. Now you understand.
A young millennial. That
And by the way, any of you Gen Z guys, feel free to come into my comment section and call out the bullshit. Say, no, I'm not like that. And no guy I know is like that. We know these women are liars. Sorry, these fascists.
Yeah, I think you definitely, first of all, I would love to claim you as a millennial, and you give me that vibe. So,
oh yeah, I got to get past the mutual admiration society here.
It is a bit of a divide, just 3 years apart from one another in like how we relate to the internet that I think is interesting. But you know, I feel so old compared to
yeah, you do
her.
kind of have like Gen X tendencies by still being on Twitter a lot. You know what I mean?
I think I also
Sorry, I didn't get far enough ahead. What they're talking about now is gibberish to the point.
also have a bit of an older kind of mindset about a lot of things. Brian, our producer here, mocks me all the time for using old-timey phrases and things like that. And even,
by the way, the majority report should be taken down from YouTube. It's a fascist, sexist YouTube channel, and it doesn't belong on this platform. It should be reported off the platform.
my music taste.
I'm regular old Joe Biden over here, dog-faced pony soldier comes out of your mouth. You're like, what?
It's a not far off. But if this was, I'm not dismissive of this because this is in keeping with other things that I think I've seen about polling in both America.
No, you haven't seen anything. If you're talking about polling and looking at The Guardian, you're looking at lies and you know it. I've just shown how they're lies.
American young men and young men internationally. I think this has to do with the Me Too backlash that we're talking about, but also...
Oh, wow. So there's a backlash against criminality. So guys are being lied about by women to have their lives destroyed, and they're giving a backlash to that. See how these fascists see you guys? This is no different from white nationalists talking about minority men. Exact same attitude and behavior.
A completely like unregulated.
When we lynch you guys, you should just know to take it. Know your place.
Media ecosystem on platforms like Twitch and YouTube that are just pushing out misogynistic content that I would have never had access to.
Of course, this is a lie. You guys all know it's a lie. Misogyny doesn't exist. Men worship these women. These two are showing complete contempt for our gender, and they have male partners. Men worship women so much they'll partner with them, knowing that they hate their guts. Misogyny does not exist.
When I was a young person around that age, when it was like formulating my brain, I remember
Emma, are you trying to suggest that you would be anything other than a man-hater if you were from a different generation?
In sex ed, like we talked about all the time, forums about for girls to get eating disorders and like teaching them how to.
Okay, how is girls getting eating disorders got to do with Gen Z men? It doesn't. Now, again, I wanted you to pay attention how they're talking about the internet. These young women here, they use the internet to humiliate their victims. So if someone needs, if a gender needs like keeping off the internet, it's not you Gen Z guys. It's your gender, you fascist.
To get eating disorders and anorexia and stuff like that. But you had to really look for that. That's just an example of like a corner of the internet that is harmful to kids' development and their ages. I've been thinking about it with that clavicular guy and how he clearly has disordered eating and is spreading it around. But
So clavicular, if he's spreading a eating disease around, that makes Gen Z men who listen to him victims, not perpetrators. But you go on with your propaganda.
with manosphere
Oh,
stuff,
God,
it's so
yeah.
mainstreamed, and anybody
Manosphere stuff is mainstream because guys are dealing with the undeserved hatred from people like you.
can access it.
I think I'm just suspicious of like men with like too nice of a jawline.
Yeah, right. They're all after that though, and you know.
Yeah, you didn't marry your guy for his good looks. You married him for his money. He's a good worker drone.
No, they don't
Well,
realize.
yeah, it's the Matt Rifeness of it all, though his is, which he very much just like looks like someone called him a chatified Squidward, and I was like, I can't unsee that now. I guess Squidward gets chatified at some point. The point
He
is,
does,
okay,
yes.
a third of Gen Z males say a husband should have the final word on important decisions. Okay, buddy. Okay, try fucking making a decision in your goddamn.
Now listen to this, right? Ridicule. First of all, you're spreading a lie. It wasn't a third of men at all. So again, this is what I say. If this habituation woman was forced to tell the truth about men, she would wince in pain. This fascist.
Damn life. I'll follow you. I'll follow you, but make a decision. You know?
And gaslighting, of course. Gaslighting, spreading some kind of propaganda. Like you guys, you Gen Z guys, you can't make up your minds, right?
Yes. I double dog dare you to actually make a decision, and then you can have
make a decision.
Well, these guys are. That's why you're so hot to go after them. They're deciding they don't want to deal with you. All these guys are waking up and seeing the hostility, the undeserved hostility, and they're fighting back. They're backlashing against the criminal Me Too movement. Frankly, there needs to be jail time for Me Too users because you're criminals. But the point is, that's what your issue is with Gen Z guys. That, and again, you don't want to throw shade to your workhorse providers, your male feminist. You got to say, hey, it's not you guys, it's these guys, right?
An informed decision, twice as likely as baby boomer men, which is wild to have traditional views on decision making within a marriage. Just 13% of the men of the older cohort agree that
these are all lies. Let's get past that.
She's better at it. I've had the fight.
Yeah.
Listen to the woman.
Listen to your mother. Yeah.
Listen to your mom. So there is part of this.
There it is, guys. Just listen to women and obey them, right? Even though they hate your guts.
Like, I think you might just be young. And I think you might not have either. I mean, I do want to mock, the virginicity of all of this, but like.
There you go, guys. You're a bunch of incels, right? If you don't bow down and take abuse from women and just accept your fate, you're just an incel. Because, her husband's not an incel, right? He just had to totally give up his rights as a human being and be totally subservient to this fascist. By the way, guys, again, this is why we dump the word manhood and masculinity. Masculinity is a feminist term. All it means is that you are a guy who women validate. Women validate men who have no self-regard, no self-respect, and just obey. And they take any abuse they dish out. That's what a masculine man is in the end. That's why we have to dump that term. Now, I know their video is short, it's only 10 minutes, but we've gone far enough. I've shown all I need about these fascists. I've shown everything you need to know. I showed that when there's real trouble, these women are nowhere to be found, that they're only good for attacking other men. They belong to a hate movement. That's all it does, right? They showed the complete hostility to any man who shows self-regard or self-respect, right?
Maybe much of it.
So let's get these two back up here, okay? Let's get them back up here.
Bother you, this new study, or do you?
Now, I'm going to end up saying that you two are fascist. That's a fact. You are destructive to society. You have nothing positive to offer it. And Gen Z men should be working together to get you deplatformed. It's your gender that needs put under the microscope. It's your gender that needs control, not ours.